Hi, my name's Peter Skillen. I'm the author of the best-selling book called The 12-Step Warrior. The book recounts my life so far of how I became an alcoholic and how I turned it all around. The book talks about how from a very early age I was very depressed. I got into hanging about with street gangs. I got into drugs at a very early age. I became an alcoholic and I lost just about everything I had in life. I ended up homeless, had no job, had no ambition and no education. That was until I wrote the book. What happened with the book is it went to #1 on Kindle and Amazon, and I found that through my writing it became very cathartic. I wrote the book to get rid of what was on my mind through my life about how things had happened and what it caused, and put me into depression. And then obviously through the depression I started looking for ways of hiding. I did this by drinking. I was a copious drinker, eventually alcoholic. So I was full of depression, full of anger, full of hate. I was trapped in a very, very dark place for a very, very long time. Through drinking I lost all my jobs. I lost any college course that I tried to do, any kind of education. I was a good martial artist when I was younger. Drinking stopped me from doing that too. So basically my drinking career stopped me achieving anything that was good. Eventually anyway, I come to 30 years old and enough was enough. Contemplating suicide in Greece, I had to make a choice, and the choice was either to end it there or turn my life around. So I came back from Greece. A very good friend of mine helped me find a rehab centre, and I went into rehab centre. The first thing I read while I was in the rehab centre is I picked up a Bible and I read a sentence from a Bible that said, "What use is the world to a man that doesn't even own his own soul?" Well, this really resonated with me, and I thought, well, that's the problem. I don't own my own soul. So what I did is I spent about 7 to 8 months in a rehab centre. I was supposed to be there for 13 weeks, but it lifted me that much and helped me change my whole attitude on life that I stayed as long as possible. In fact, in the end, they had to ask me to leave. So when I left rehab, I embarked on turning my life around. It wasn't easy. It was very hard. I found that a lot of people couldn't accept that I'd changed, but I also found that a lot of people had a lot of respect that I had tried to change. So I still felt that there was something missing. Things were still hanging heavy on my heart. I was still getting depression. And I come to realise that it's because I was carrying around all my old problems. So what I decided to do was to write a book. The book, The 12-Step Warrior. I found that the more I wrote, the lighter I became. I was sort of getting rid of my problems through the written word. They were no longer hanging on me. I can only akin it to I'd been carrying a rucksack on my back full of problems, and each one of these problems were like house bricks, and they were weighing me down and down and down. So using the techniques that I'd learnt in rehab and through this 12-step program, I started offloading it, and I found the best way for me to offload it was to write. The more I write, the less the problems became, the lighter I become, and the more opportunity arose. So I decided what I wanted to do in my life. When I was younger, I always wanted to make film, or I always wanted to write. I always had stories going around in my head. So being uneducated, I went to a college, and I told them that I wanted to make film and write. So I signed up for a course. I did a BTEC in TV and film technology, and I passed that with a triple distinction. So I thought, this is okay. So next I moved on to a HND, and I got a distinction for that too. And then, so I carried on, and I did a BSc in TV and film technology, and I passed it. And I realised that without the drinking, I could achieve anything I wanted. Through meditation and going back to martial arts, through hard training, I realised that the more I trained, the more I could handle in life. So it wasn't about violence, the martial arts. It wasn't about becoming a good fighter. It's like when a sword is made, a samurai sword, the more times the sword is put into the fire, into the forge, the tougher and sharper the blade can become. So I looked at life and I thought, yeah, I do have a lot of depressions and I have a lot of hard and tough experiences. But each time I hit one of these pieces, it's just before a growing point, it's just before a growing spurt, and it's just before a realisation that I can achieve more. So what I do is when one of these depressive times comes up, or one of these times that I start to feel that life's getting a bit tough, I stick with it. I let it wash over me, but I don't let it control me. I work through it, and always at the end of it, something better arises. Now, how does this work? If we connect with our environment and the people around us, we can achieve whatever we want. If we look at creation, for instance, some people say that we were created by a living God, and some people say that we were created by a happy accident. Maybe a meteorite crashed into the earth, brought some germs with it, and we went from there. So, if that bit was true, that would surely mean that we're made of stardust, I suppose. So, if everything on the planet is made of the same thing, then surely we're all connected. So, if we're all made of the same thing, and things and thoughts become reality, then surely what we think we can make reality. So I started to think like this a lot, and what I thought was that surely if I looked around at the world and see what nature and life creates and what other people create, so I can do the same. So I concentrated on having goals in my life and working towards them, but not working against the things that happened to me. For instance, if a depression come along, I wouldn't work against it, I'd work with it and ask the reason why it's there. As soon as I questioned why, I would find out the answers and I could change it. That way I could grow and become something better. If you look at what I've achieved since I stopped drinking, what I've achieved is I've educated myself to a degree level. I've achieved a 3rd dan under one of the top martial artists in the world under self-defense. I've got a 4th dan in kickboxing. I've wrote 4 books to date. I wrote a best-selling book. I've made 2 short films. I've wrote for 4 or 5 different short films. I've opened my own gym. I've met some of the BAFTA-winning writers. I've met filmmakers. I've met top-level actors. I've met world-renowned martial artists. And all this is through changing my attitude. So what I want to try and achieve by this is try and let you understand that no matter where you are, no matter how dark the places are, there is a way out. So I look forward to talking to you again, and hopefully you'll catch up with some of my future podcasts. Take care, be kind to each other, remember, you're not always stuck where you are, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.